So I'm starting off odds and ends like I usually do. I'm not at the beginning, but somewhere in the middle. I starting to put the wheels together. So you got your normal Airfix option of wheels up, wheels down, wheels down. I got the weight on wheels. Mentioned many times, not a fan of two-part wheels, but that's what it is, 'cause it's hard cleaning up seam lines when there's tyre tread. So the main wheels went together right. Two parts of the hub that glue together. Yeah, how thick they are. The front tyre though, so you got the locating hole and the locating pin. When you pushed it together, it was offset, so I had to cut both pins off and just align it by eyeball because the pins were putting it off. I'll put the tail together, stabilizers. So two halves, each one of these two halves. I don't know why, but I can't. There's two lots of rudders, stabilizers, but for the life of me, I can't see the difference. I must be missing something. They look identical to me. Anyway, I use the ones that they called out for in the instructions, the part numbers. Starting to get wing sorted, so that will sit in there. So all the interior framework, so that's all aluminium. So I have to paint in here as well, because when you look up you'll see, as per usual with Airfix, they use Humbrol paint. So I start off, when I do an Airfix build, I'll go through the colour call outs, and some of them I remember from doing so many, but every now and then something pops up I'm not familiar with, so I go through and just write them in so I know what I need. And again, I don't know what they're on about here. Note when assembling parts D15 and E16, steps 66 and 67, make sure, question mark. What the hell does that mean? And this is only going to go together one way. I don't know what they're trying to get at. It'll glue together. You can see it pulling, but it pulls to where it wants to, and it looks right to me. I don't know what they're getting at. It's not specific enough for myself. Anyway, I'm just going to glue them together. I still need to add it's like an actuator into here. It's the same colour, so I'll glue it in and paint that. I probably need to paint. Yeah, it'd be probably easy to paint this off, glue it on, paint this off obviously, and then when you glue it together, then it'll be all good to go. This too confused me, is by two, and to me that means do that twice, but it's not that. It's a clear part and the sprue is X, so that's X 2 was that, so it's a wing light, but that's just confusing too. Like, cool, you sprue something else, because when you're in their blurb, everyone's repeat this operation. So it's exactly the same symbol. Anyway, just little things. I've also started messing around with the engines. So you've got gills closed, gills open, which is the cow flaps. I don't know on this aircraft if they're called gills or it's just what they call them. It's not a lot of difference in it. So that's the closed and that's the open. It's very minimal. And even though I'm doing one that's parked, I'm going to do the open ones. It's very slight difference that just sort of adds a bit of attraction to the visual aspect of it, even though I know it's incorrect. So it's, you got the, that won't come off. Yeah, oh there you go. That's your part. You got to decide open, close, and then the rear part of the engine plugs in. Can only go one way for the shape, and then the front goes on. And from what I can tell, it doesn't matter. That's not going to work. I couldn't really see it mattering which way the cowl goes on, but this matters because, you know, we got that one. I'll sit on there. In their diagram, so you got the 3 holes, the 2 holes looking towards the front of the aircraft should be on the right for the engine, the head of the engine there. The front of it sits a certain way. So from what I can tell in their diagram, yeah, that, looking at it, so the wing will be like that, it should be like that. And so I was trying to work out if it matters which way these goes, but from what I can tell, it doesn't matter, it just goes on either way. So that way fits, and other way fits, but just that matters. And I can't really dry fit that yet because, well, that'll fit on there. But I'll do the underside of the wing with the turbochargers. Yeah, so that's just where I'm at the moment. So I took that one off just to, I looked at both of them, see, and it was so little difference. Yeah, so once they're together, you're not really seeing much because it's not too bad for out of box, I suppose, but I'm sure the aftermarket will jump on board. This one probably out already. I haven't looked because I was just doing it out of box, but I'm sure you'll be able to get all the bells and whistles, cockpits, engines, wheels. Wheels are something I would have been keen for, but as I mentioned, I wanted to enter this as out of box, which means no aftermarket. Holy do pissing down rain. So I'll keep plugging away on this wing now, so I've got to do the ailerons for it as well. All the turrets, I'm not in the mood for that yet. And I wasn't in the mood for cockpit either, so that's why I was starting somewhere else. But anyway, I'll keep plugging along. Oh, I'm cleaning up all these engine parts. I've got all, or most of them. I've still got to do the front parts. You can see I've got a wing together, so I've painted the inside. So they call out for aluminium, but when I paint the exterior natural metal, my base colour will probably be aluminium. So I've used dark aluminium for the wheel well. Just trying to shift subtle tones, and other than it being uniformly one colour, That was just a dry fit here. I was sort of looking at what's going on. There's a piece goes in underneath here, and it says painted black, I think. 33. So we go back to the beginning. I don't know if I've written that one down yet. Pretty sure 33 is satin black or something from memory, but I could be wrong. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I was just wondering why is it painted? Am I even going to see it? But possibly. If you're looking from behind, you might see it, which means then I have to paint the rest of in here. So that would be thinking interior green, but maybe not, because it's sort of part of the wheel bay as well. So I might just do it aluminium. There's actually no call out for that bit. Anyway, I worked it out. So while I was fitting this bottom section, I've realised that when you put these engine, the rear parts on with the flap, cow flap, it'll only go one way. There's a curve in the bottom, so it can only fit that way. You can't put it the other way. And this will sort out all that earlier, how I said how it should be positioned. So that'll go on, and the outer ones go on, and they'll be facing the correct way with the two holes towards the right. So that'll all work itself out. I just wanted to show that bit there. I did the aileron. There's no, I've got to clean up seam joins, but there's no nowhere for it to slot in. There is slots there though, so maybe there is. Hang on, maybe I have to add something. Do I? No. How odd. Interesting. Anyway, and also you have, where is that? For the flaps, you have the option of, you got the flap down, extended, or shut. Again, I'll probably do the extended to add interest visually to the display, but again, I know that wouldn't probably be how they're parked, but that's how I'm going to do it. Alright, so I've painted up internally there. As mentioned earlier, it's possible to see it, you probably won't. Same as here, you can see that bit when it goes on. And I need to paint in those. Look like there's some type of radiator. I've painted interior green inside the cowl. Probably not going to see much of this, but it's possible. I'm just covering my tracks to make sure that if you can see through somewhere, there is visible paint. So the engines. So the engines I've painted steel. Again, because it's going to be natural metal, you've got to break it up. So if it was just a typical camouflaged aircraft, I'd probably use dark aluminium for the engine, but because I'm already using dark aluminium there, I'm using steel. And the interior green I'm using is US Interior Yellow Green AK Interactive. The paint number is real color 262. There's no FS number. And anything with the metal colors on this build will be treated with this. AK's gauzy. This is the best clear coat I've found that keeps a sheen on the metal paint. It may dull it a bit, but not like some others. So I've tried many over the years and I found this one really good. It keeps that nice sheen, and I don't want it polished to finish anyway. It is a military aircraft that was in World War II, so it's not exactly going to be shining clean. So there's the seam join here where the bottom part of the nacelle for the engine goes on. I actually looked up Airfix's website, and the build they display for their kit, they've left that there. I don't believe that is correct, so I've had a look at trying to find images of the B-24H. I found a couple of sort of hard, especially when you go back to World War II to find a specific close-up of something, but it looks like that's not there, so I need to take care of them. And it's a chunky part, so probably need to bit of CA glue and clean up those seams. I've given it a sand along I started with the scraper and then sanded it, and then I'll give a shot of primer and then fill where there's gaps. That light, what I'm going to do is probably just paint over it. At the end I'll put a drop crystal clear on it with a toothpick and let it dry, and it'll dry like glass. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna do the flap down, so this will sit that's what it'll look like. So it's just a nice, like I said, it's probably incorrect, but I like to display the optional choices sometimes because it adds to the static display of your model points of interest. Oh, come on, I'm trying to hold it in a spot where I can paint it that won't be seen. The superchargers, so I've done put them together, so you got the one part and then there's a little insert that goes on top. And what I'm going to do is, I need to go back a page, so each one is different number, so they're specific, same as the bottom nacelles. Each one's different and specific to where it sits on the model, so I've numbered them, even though they are keyed. So one has got a round tab, and one's a rectangular tab, so the two for the left wing can only go in one position, but if you mix them up with the right wing you might get yourself confused. I'm going to paint them off because I'll weather them up. Probably, I think I've got a manifold colour paint somewhere. I might paint that and then use some sponge and chip it with some different colours. Give it that worn, not worn but used look where they get dirty and start to corrode and whatnot. So the engine parts together. Yeah, they go together fine, there's no issue. And then I'm not putting, obviously I won't put them on until I sort that seam. It's funny when you look at it, but it's how it goes, because, well, that's how it's engineered. Whoop. The that engine looks off. Might be just me, but that's how it's engineered, so I'm going to say it's right. Yes, so I need to clean all that up. The aileron, when you glue it together, the trailing edge of it, there was a gap for me. This is the plastic, the way it went together, it wouldn't sandwich to no gap. So I've run CA glue along that gap, sand at the back, same thing. I need to prime it, check it, and then redo it, and I'll make sure I get that right before I glue it on, because I don't want to be sanding it on here and it'll bump and come off, because there's no it would have been nice if they did this. They did a couple of tabs on there and had slots for it to push in to make sure it, you know, nice positive hold to it, but it's only a little niggle. Again, I'll have that a bit of droop to add the interest to the look of it. Alright, the other wing is in process of being glued together, so now I'm going back to the beginning. So all these parts here is this page, so up to step 1 to 15. I noticed so obviously that's the nose, there's a few ejection pin marks, but I'm pretty sure you won't. That's where the turret sits. I think they've located them in positions that shouldn't be seen, I'm hoping. I think that one will be right. There's a couple of side panels that go in, and the oxygen bottles, gun belt, gun deck. I think that is, isn't it? And bulkheads and whatnot, seats, instrument panel. Well, I'm going to paint it all, so it's interior green, but some parts are black and khaki, and we've got silver, red, brown. Yeah, this one is the inside. This side is interior green, but this side will be neutral grey. So part of the front section of the fuselage is interior green. There's a section of a neutral grey. Well, that's the colour I've come up with from their Humbrol's call out. I'm using neutral grey, and then the rear is zinc chromate, I believe. So until I'll be painting it. Yeah, so I'll start gluing assemblies together, and then what I can glue together and paint, otherwise paint and then glue together. This thing's got a huge call out for nose weight. You need, so I want you to put 25 grams in there, which is a bloody lot of weight. That's, for reference, that's just under 25 grams. Interesting. And then under this one they want another 30 grams. So this is in the gannet territory. That's 55 grams of nose weight. Yeah, obviously that's not going to fit. Usually I'll bang them with a hammer into shape, but I'm not using it there though. I'm not real keen, because you can see, but if you see behind the instrument panel, you see all that, unless I have to have a dry fit of this. Yeah, it won't be seen by the looks of it. By the looks of it, when it sits. That sits in there. Where is it? Oh, that's gonna play games with me. That sits in there. Anyway, it doesn't want to cooperate at the moment, but I'll put it together and then look at it whether any of that can be seen. It's going to be an effort trying to get all that amount of weight into that little area. So I've glued up sub-assemblies here of how I want to paint them. I'll just point out these pieces that insert into the fuselage wall. Both of the fuselage section had pronounced ejection pins, so you need to clean that up for that piece to sit in on both parts. So I can paint all that and I'll hand brush in where I need to. And now I can fit this how it's supposed to sit, which is like that. So you excuse me. I think when you put the canopy sits on, that'll cover, even though there's a gap there, the canopy will cover it, so you can put the weight in there and you won't be seen. I don't think you're going to physically be able to look in on this angle to look under the instrument panel. So that should work. This part where they wanted was it 30 grams to go in, so it butts into there like that. That's how that sits. So just fill that up with whatever you can. I'll probably use a sled shot, but I'm not sure I'm going to get that much weight now. I'll have to weigh it. It's no good just filling it up as much as you can. You need to know how much weight, because whatever they tell you, that's your minimum. I usually go over what they say to make sure. And I didn't even notice before, this part had two great big ejection pins on it that I had to cut away, but you don't see it anyway. So I don't need to worry about cleaning up that because it's covered. Yeah, so now I can start painting. This will be all primed black, and then I'll spray the interior green. I use black inside cockpits 99% of the time, because it's if there's areas you can't get at with your paint, it's just a shadow, so the black will mask anything you miss. I'm still gluing these on for the other wing, so a bit of progress.